How do you eat an elephant? Do you know?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. I mean, it's a similar thing to production,
Yeah.
right? Like as you are going through this product development journey and you are coming upon an issue or detail, one step at a time. Layer it on, start chipping away at what you're looking to refine, what you're looking to, add on to. And again, consider this factory your partner.
Do you have a brilliant product idea but don't know where to start to get it made? Or are you looking to level up your product but afraid to take it overseas?
If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Erin, and we are
The Sourcing Gals,
your trusted guides to everything you need to know about sourcing, manufacturing, and scaling your product overseas. Whether you are just starting out or you've been making your own product for a while, we are here to help women source products overseas without the overwhelm.
In each episode, we'll share insider tips, actionable strategies, and inspiring stories to help you source more effectively, save time, and boost your profits. Duh! We know how hard it can be to juggle the ins and outs of product development, but don't worry, we've got your back.
So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into how you can grow your business,
make more money,
and turn your products into profit. Welcome to
The Sourcing Gals. Now let's get started. High five.
Hi. If you're building a product-based business and finding yourself second-guessing decisions or wishing you had someone to gut check, we want you to know you don't have to do this alone.
On January 1st, we're opening the Sourcing Gals Founder Circle, our private community for product-based founders.
Inside, you'll get monthly Q&A calls with us, access to our templates, scripts, and tools, and most importantly, a community of founders building right alongside you.
It's only $27 a month, or for a limited time, $247 for the year. That's 3 months free. You can find all the details in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Welcome back to another episode of
The Sourcing Gals.
This week's episode is going to be a good one. We're going to get pretty deep in factory communication, really helping our founders. We've been seeing a lot of our founders still struggling in this development phase. Like we are trying to help guide and support, and the sooner we can get them through the development phase, the sooner they actually get to launch and really start to make an impact, right, in the world with their product.
Absolutely. And I think what we're going to talk about feels counterintuitive, which is why a lot of founders, it's not their first inclination to back off of some of the communication. But today we're going to talk about how more information isn't always better at the beginning of your development cycle.
Correct. And I think what's hard for a lot of us, any of us launching a product, you have so many ideas in your head. You've probably been ruminating on it for a very long time. And so not only do you have this conceptual big picture, but you've drilled down. Like you have so many finite details that you are wanting to express to your manufacturer. But sometimes the way in which all that information is getting expressed and being downloaded at one time is not necessarily the most productive.
Think about it like love languages. The way that you express love or that you like to express love isn't always the way that someone easily receives love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your love language is gift giving, but I'm over here giving you words of affirmation, that's not connecting.
Yes.
So for the vendors and the factories and the founders, the way the founders want to talk about their product is not necessarily the way that factories easily receive the information.
So let's get into some of the biggest mistakes that we see happen. And I think a lot of it comes down to the details, to be honest. So why don't you go ahead and take this one?
So starting with details, a lot of founders think that detail equals more clarity. And that's not always the case. Sometimes too many details can be inundating and it can distract the factory from the core purpose of your idea or of your product. So I also want to say that there are many different ways to go about this. For us, this is the way that gets your idea done the quickest and the simplest. I have seen people give 18-page tech packs from the beginning. They have 3, 4, 5, 6 sample rounds, and they do get a product in the end that is great. It also took 8 months. So for this, I even spoke with a client last week that we are going to kind of like slow it down to speed it up. We're going to dumb it down, less details, get the concept across, get our key desires across. And then once those are understood, we will add in all the bells and whistles.
It kind of goes back to one of our courses we teach, which is in Smart Start, a one-pager, like truly distilling it down. Like if you only had one page to get your product idea across, what would be the most important things to tell the factory?
Yeah.
And like start from there.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's so easy again to drill down into those. I mean, I've been the receiver of 18-page text packs, and it's like, seriously? Like for a flip flop or for a beach towel or for, right? And you're like, okay, information overload. And again, as I always say, time is money.
Right.
So I know when I send an 18-page tech pack to that factory, they're going to come back to me with a much higher cost because they're all of a sudden realizing, holy shit, like this is a high touch client who needs a lot of detail,
Yes.
who is so specific on how we do this. It really doesn't matter from a factory standpoint how I want to do it. They're going to want it done this way.
And that's, I think, it just occurred to me, one of the really powerful things about starting with something that exists and tweaking, because it feels a little less overwhelming for everyone involved. And you can already like get kind of the gist of your idea out of the way and then start making things your own. So factories, every day, they're processing hundreds of emails, tech packs, PDFs, like make yours memorable, make it what's important, do what the next step is, like the next best thing, do that. So to wrap up kind of this portion, really, it's like if you tell the vendor 30 things that you need, they're probably going to only do 25. Then you're going to be disappointed, especially if those 5 things they missed are the core components of your product.
Definitely.
So it's just most important. If those 5 are the most important things, start with those. Then we'll talk about what happens next.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget, development happens in multiple sample rounds.
Yes.
Right? So that first sample, get your 5 most important points across. Then you receive it, you touch it, feel it, you go back with any small tweaks. Hopefully they got those first 5 pretty good because you narrowed it down for them. Then layer on the next adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay, now for my next sample round, I want to add X, Y, and Z. In addition to these 5, right? Like you are, no matter what, there is no production that is literally done. I mean, except I've had a few one and dones, but that's because we're doing something existing and it's a small tweak, right? But when you are starting from scratch, know you are going to be in this journey for multiple sample rounds. So know that with each one, you can keep layering on.
Right. Think of it like, I have an analogy. It's another baking analogy. It's just weird because I don't bake a lot. But you know, like some muffin recipes, you have the dry ingredients, you put them all together over here. You have the wet ingredients, you put them all together over here. And then you mix them together. So think of it like that. Like you have this thing going over here, get that set, and then you move to the next thing, get that set, and then you can make it more complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't just put all of those ingredients into a bowl together and like call it a day.
Correct. You would not. So let's talk about that. How do we help, we want to help our founders, we want to help you listeners break down this communication channels and really how to get you to the perfect sample, the most effective and efficient and quickest way.
Yeah, we would, similar to the muffin analogy, you break things into like and logical steps. I would always start with like either materials or functionality, depending on what type of product you're building. So we have a product we're building for a client, and functionality is really key. So I can make that out of anything. I can make this product out of just like regular canvas, and we can get very far down the path. We can get very close to what our goal is. And then once we find the perfect fabric for it, swap that in for the canvas, and we're off to the races. Versus if you had a product that was all about the material, think your product.
Yep.
That's your focus.
Fabric came first. Fabric came first because then the fabric, the amount of stretch, the way it draped, that affected my fit. So for me, it made sense to start with fabric, and I spent a long time in my fabric R&D process. But once I landed it and I was clear and it was set, the fit process went really quick.
Right. So I would say the logical groups of fabrication, technology, functionality, start breaking it into those groups. If you do think that they all tie together pretty well to where you can't mix it up, then maybe it's that like 30,000-foot overview, kind of backing up and thinking like minimum viable, what will we take to make this done? Start there, and then things will start to develop.
Tell me this. What if your sourcing agent lived in your browser? Meet Axio. This is Alibaba's AI-powered sourcing engine that understands what you need. It matches you with pre-vetted suppliers, it analyzes trends, it even helps with compliance. If you want to test for a special certification or custom specs, Axio handles that. With the new Axio agent, it automates requests for quotes and follow-ups as well. Even us, the sourcing gals, we have used it to cut sourcing time from weeks to minutes. And with our code, the sourcing gals, your first month is just $1. Then $19.99 per month after that. If you're launching or scaling a product business, this tool changes the game. Try Axio with our code today.
I think going back to Erin's point, though, what's important to note for this one client, we are still developing their fabric.
We do, yes.
In a silo, but we're not stopping the factory from proceeding forward on the functionality. Right? Like, so they can happen in tandem, but we're being very specific that we don't have to have the function and fit samples come in this fabric that we're still figuring out. Like, we've already made the decision, canvas is going to be fine. So you're giving clarity to the factory to say, canvas is an available material that we can make. Let's focus on the function. And that's one silo of work. While we are in a different silo of work, truly trying to find this like perfect novelty fabric for the client. So now that they can happen at the same time, but we are making it easier for the factory by giving them an alternative to not hold on the functionality piece because it's not imperative for this specific product.
It doesn't have to happen like end to end.
Correct.
So it's not like, again, with the muffin analogy, like you have this thing going over here, you have this thing over here, and then you will combine them. You don't have to like do everything in a chronological one thing after another order because that's going to elongate your time. And one thing's not going to be able to form the other thing.
Yeah. And I think the one product that we're thinking of here that Erin's been working on with the factory, it is a slightly innovative.
Yeah.
It is slightly complex. And so I know you literally said, like, we're going to break this down to the key properties first, and then we'll go back and add the design details and
Correct.
add the elevated, stitch details and the things that are not necessarily function related. They're just design aesthetics that at the end of the day, the client wants it and we can do it. But if we are distracting the factory with the aesthetics first without landing the functionality, like that's where the message is getting muddled, right?
Correct. And I think that is exactly what a lot of new founders inadvertently do, is they focus on the aesthetics of their product and what they want it to look like versus let's get the functionality out of the way. And then we will layer on the things that don't impact the functionality.
So let's go a step deeper. So let's say you're having these conversations and the point maybe isn't getting across correctly. We are a huge fan of pictures.
Yes.
And reference samples. So even if there's something that exists in the market that's adjacent, it's not perfect, but gets the idea, the concept across, buy it, photograph it, cut it up, add a one-pager to your factory, and ship it off to them.
Correct. Yeah. That is, again, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But even when you go and you use pictures, my strong advice is like solve one problem at a time.
I love that.
I know that this feels slow and I just, people don't like it. They want to solve all their problems at once. But the factories will move faster if they can focus on one problem, solve that, focus on the next problem, solve that. I'm going to give an example of, I'll even give a shout out to Wendy. Wendy's one of our clients. We're working on her product and we had a problem with this puckering at one seam. And then we also had a problem with some labels. The labels were more important to me. They needed to be figured out before we fixed the puckering. So I was like, we're going to put a pin in the puckering, put a pin in the puckering. We are going to focus on getting these labels right first. When the factory has achieved that, we will move on to puckering. Because if we keep throwing at them puckering and labels, puckering and labels, puckering and labels, they're just going to like do both things half-ass.
Yeah.
Like anyone would, you know, it's like
information overload.
You know, if I have to get the kids dinner, but I'm also trying to unload the dishwasher, like things are getting mixed up.
Mm-hmm. So how I'm curious, like how has the factory come back to you with that? Like, are they much more, I would assume, laser focused on giving you more information about the labels now than maybe you were getting before?
Yeah. And we even like dumbed down a little bit more than that. Like there were multiple things with the labels that were wrong. So we focused first on one aspect, printing. When printing was solved, we'll move on to the other aspect, which is attachment to the product.
Yes.
Like, and then attachment to the product, sewing, lead us to the puckering. So there's a natural progression of kind of the order of operation things need to be done to A, be done right, and B, move us further in the direction of production.
And in the meantime, as you're solving problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, this does not mean your factory has to send you a sample for every single step that they're solving. They can send you a picture. Hey, look, we fixed A, B, and C. Great. Send me a reference photo. Awesome. Let's go on to the next thing. Great. Send me a reference photo. And then guess what? When you get to the final end of it, then send me the sample. So you're not losing time. A, you're not losing money by running multiple samples for each little micro problem. And B, you're saving a ton of shipping time, just time alone, right? They can send you a photo same night, right? Like right that night. And this is where we also say when you're having some of those problems and if it's just still not getting across, hop on the WeChat, hop on a WhatsApp app, hop on a video call, like talk through it real time. If it's truly getting to a place where the overnight email communication is just not working through it enough. I just chatted with my factory before we hopped on this podcast. Actually, he's up at all hours of the night, but it is just sometimes helpful when needed. When an email is not working and the photo is not getting you to where you need to be, talk.
Now, going back to the labels and the puckering, this is like a little bit complicated and maybe a little bit in the weeds, but this is where we come in and we help. But I do want to say that though the order in which we solved those problems was because the labels being printed, that was at a subcontractor. That's over here at a label printer. So getting those solved is more important because that's me communicating to the factory who's communicating to their label printer. The puckering, the things that are done actually under the factory's roof, those are more achievable because they have control over them. So I know that we can get to that. But really, it's like, again, these very big picture things that the factory has to work with multiple people. Like, let's figure that out first. Those are just things you learn as you're in it, but also things, obviously, we help people with. You mentioned photos. What's even better than a photo? A marked up photo?
Okay. I was like, I don't know. What is better than a photo? Oh, 100%. Yeah. When I say photo, it's funny when you say that. I'm imagining a photo in Canva with all the lines and circles and dots and pretty wingdings and all the colors of like bright red, like this is most important. So yeah, a photo, it's an elevated photo.
It's an elevated photo. So to our listening founders, like just setting a standalone photo, that's not quite what we mean.
Yes.
Like hop on, even if it's your iPhone, use the annotation, circle things, arrows at things, and that'll get the point across.
Yeah, I love that. And I also do send videos, to be honest. I will send videos of myself pointing with my finger and talking and saying, hey, you can see this, you can see, and then again, you just send that in an email, or it's even easier, obviously, in like a WeChat or WhatsApp. But a lot of times, even just me talking on a recorded video with the sample out, like a lot of times I've had issues with my pajamas because my fabric is so thin. There can be a lot of speaking of puckering, like puckering around the neckline and around. So it's just easier for me to literally get out my iPhone camera and be like, see what I'm talking about right here. And then like, look, it gets really clean and then it gets puckered again, right? Like it's just so much easier. And then it also saves me the work of taking a ton of pictures and going into Canva and then annotating them if I can get the point across that way. It's just faster.
And it's faster and it involves fewer words, less reading.
Correct.
Things get lost less. It's just like a 5-minute sketch or a 5-minute video can like solve all your problems.
Correct. And I think there's also times where we say this a lot, your vendors are your partners. So if you are really struggling to get some point across, like tell them, say, hey, please help me. We've gone through now 3 rounds and I'm still not understanding it. Like what do you need from me, or what limitations might I not know of that's causing this issue? Sometimes it literally could be machinery.
Yes.
Hey, we don't have that machine. Okay, well, thank you for telling me that now.
Actually, it's interesting you brought that up because we are working on a project right now, and the vendor did something we did not ask for. And this is like a pretty generic product, so I'll talk about it. We have a canvas tote, very, very heavyweight. Think LL Bean, 22-ounce canvas tote. The seam at the top of the canvas tote, they covered the seam with a twill tape. So with a tape, instead of just turning the fabric over and sewing it. And we were like, why in the world would they have done that? This is wrong. Well, it turns out that when you flip the 22-ounce canvas over, like it got way too thick.
It's all of a sudden it's 44 ounces.
Well, it was 3.
Oh,
too,
3 because you have a liner.
It was a turn back.
Okay.
So it was a fold over and then fold over again.
Oh gosh.
So we're talking, 66 ounces of canvas.
I mean, imagine 3 LL Bean tones stacked on top of each
in
other,
a sewing
basically.
machine, and the factory was like, we can't do that. We're going to have to come up with another solution. We're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there could literally be machine limitations and production limitations that you might not know about.
Sure.
That could cause why something's coming back the way it's coming back.
Yeah. And that was I actually went to a store, took a picture of a tote turnover, pointed to it, sent it to the vendor and said, this is what we want. And she said, our machine doesn't do that. And I was like, cool. Understand that.
Thank you. Thanks for the clarity. And that might be something that, again, one of those, what is your negotiables versus your non-negotiables? I know for this client, they wanted the weight was what was important.
Yes.
They wanted a heavyweight tote. Whether that top opening of the tote was a turn back or covered in twill tape, they just needed the clarity, right, from you to say, this is why it's actually not feasible with this material and this fabric and this factory and what we're doing with them. And it probably was like, okay, not our most ideal, but we can live with that.
Right.
Versus being like, oh, the other option is we can, I have seen factories like, well, if we'll just do a 10-ounce weight, because then we can do a triple turn back up top. It's like, whoa. Like,
no, the weight of the fabric was what was important.
The weight was the number one non-negotiable.
So it's interesting you say that because we ended up, instead of covering the top edge with the twill tape, we covered it with a 10-ounce canvas.
Look at that.
So it was like, it looked as if it were the canvas. It was a similar materiality, weave, but it was a lower weight. So that's how we fixed it.
See, and
but
that was
all through videos on WeChat.
Videos and conversations, right? And being willing to compromise.
And that happened in a 6 to 8 hour period of time, which if you would have written this in an email and been like, no, sorry, you didn't hit the tech pack. This is wrong. And then also this is wrong. And then also this is wrong. And then also the embroidery is not the right height. And then also the color is crocking a little bit. And then also like that turn back on the collar would have been ignored.
Yes, 100%. 100%. So again, I think we're reiterating our same points here, but less is truly more when you are getting through these product development hurdles.
And all of those things mattered. The embroidery does need to be corrected. The fabric cannot bleed. But we need to get the construction down. And then the embroidery comes after. We'll deal with that then.
Correct. So, I mean, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. I mean, it's a similar thing to production, right? Like as you are going through this product development journey and you are coming upon an issue or detail, one step at a time. Layer it on, start chipping away at what you're looking to refine, what you're looking to, add on to. And again, consider this factory your partner. Let it be a communication back and forth. Don't think, oh, they got it wrong. They're not able to do it.
I don't think that it means you need to hide all of what's going to happen next from the vendor because they do need to know. But I think a well-structured email with bullet points, I'm like such a fan of bullet points, is super, super important. So I can say to the vendor, hey, we got your sample. There are 8 things wrong with it. I am going to start with thing number 1. You can bullet out the 8 points and then just say, we are only going to attack number 1 right now. But the vendor might look at the list and say, actually, we need to attack number 7 first. Usually they'll just take your guidance, but I like to give some visibility to what the path's going to look like, but let them know that for clarity's sake, we're going to focus on this first, and then we're going to move on to the next thing.
I love that. And I also think this is rudimentary maybe, but if you have not done production emails, Erin was saying those bullet points, making sure you're speaking to each point within that bullet point then.
Yes.
Like basically my emails look like big rainbows, but by the end of the week, your email should kind of look like a rainbow of sorts where you have your bullet point that you sent on Monday, maybe in, black, and then your vendor is going to reply to that bullet point, date it the next day and reply in green. And then you're going to go on the following Wednesday and reply back to that bullet point in blue. That doesn't mean you can't clean it up, but it is nice to have an email trail, at least within like a week's, couple days, week's time span that lets you go back and forth point by point by point. You're not going to write a paragraph reply to a bulleted list. You're going to go into each separate point and write your reply to each separate point.
And if anybody responds with a paragraph, I will break it out on the points.
Correct.
Because not only are you making sure you're addressing each thing, you're also making sure the factory addresses each thing. And you can very visually, easily see when something is not addressed.
Totally.
Even if we're not getting into it yet. You can reply today's date in your green. Let's pause on this until we figure out point 1. That's all you have to do. Or you can just say, let's hold on this new idea, or let's address this next, or what have you. But if you are attacking multiple complex things at a time, a very nice bulleted email with each thing documented is very helpful.
I've also gotten to a point sometimes in production where right now is a perfect example. I'm committing new fabric for a future season. And I'm also utilizing, I'm eating up, call it. I'm using my existing fabric that's sitting at my factory for a current season. I was putting that all in one email and I was actually confusing my factory a bit. So this was a perfect example where I actually broke it out into 2 separate emails. And I labeled the one email Holiday 2026 Future Orders. And that email is only about my fabric, my future commit, because it involves both my factory that cuts and makes my product and my fabric mill that has to make the fabric. So I have a separate email with them about future. And then in my other factory email, it's all my existing orders in works. So again, that was on me. Like I was confusing her because she's like, well, wait, how am I supposed to use this fabric for this order if it hasn't been made yet? I'm like, sorry, 2 separate orders. And again, I thought I was clear, right? I've been doing this for 20 years, but obviously it still wasn't clear enough. So like, don't worry. I'm breaking this off into a separate email, noting the different seasons, noting the different development schedules. And then today I got an email back and she was like, awesome. All is noted.
Great.
Great.
That's actually a great way to segue into our next kind of topic, which is that since we've been in this industry 20, 25 years, what's changed? How is our communication improved with time and experience?
I mean, exactly that. Like the old me would have probably gone back and forth for a while trying to outline, no, this is for future season versus like, just break it off in its own email, Jackie.
Yeah.
Like not a big deal. Like break it. Mm-hmm. It's okay to have 2 vendor emails to the same vendor, to be honest. If it's for 2 completely different scopes and projects, like that's okay, right? Yeah. So I just think getting to the point quicker. I also think, the old me at Abercrombie, we didn't have WhatsApp, we didn't have WeChat. So that's been really helpful. And I also think the relationships I have with my vendors now are so much more real and authentic that I can call them whenever. Yeah. And I do. I mean, I talk to my factory at least once a week, probably on the phone. And that's sometimes he just wants to check in, like, how are things going? Like anything new or exciting you're working on, right? Like they just want to know. So I think the relationship piece, which just happens over time, has grown to be able to, like, if I need a favor, I just pick up the phone now or I text them. Hey, I'm really, really struggling here. Like, I just need you to do me a solid. And I don't go to my account manager at that point. I go to the owner and say, hey, here's where I'm at. So I think calling in favors and things like that have just, as again, relationships matured, I just know when to use them at the appropriate time. Yeah.
I was going to say it kind of with the picture worth 1,000 words thing back in like our early days, I would have always sent everything in an email and then attached pictures. Mm-hmm. But now I've started doing things in PowerPoints or in slides on Google. Well, I'll drop the picture into the slide, I'll do the arrow, and then I'll have my text on the slide that's accompanying the picture. And so it's like, instead of bullet points in an email, it's almost like bullet points within a slide deck.
100%.
And so that's something that I've started utilizing quite a lot.
Yeah,
And then the vendor, especially if they can open it in PowerPoint, they can just respond in the slide.
correct.
And I love that. And then the secondary thing would be utilizing a spreadsheet instead of an email
Yeah.
if you have lots of things that are kind of complicated. So for a project we're working on for this week, we had 30 styles. And for each style, there was a slightly different materiality and a slightly different cost and a slightly different date that I needed it.
Yeah.
So I just was like, this is going to go in an Excel file.
Yeah.
And that was the most clear. So really choosing the software avenue that is going to get your point across the best, depending on what that information is.
Yeah. I think there's lots of ways to communicate is our point.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to do what's right for you, what feels comfortable for you, what feels comfortable for the vendor as well. And it will evolve over time.
But also back to clarity, there should be a way to document and keep track of all this information you're communicating. So let's say you are calling someone, let's say you are doing a WeChat, like definitely at least give a quick in your email, give a quick like we spoke about on WeChat, X, Y, and Z, just documentation.
Yeah. It's great. And now if you do a Zoom call with your factory, you can record it, right?
Oh
you can get AI notes out of it. Like so easy now to do it. And you can actually, someone showed me on the iPhone how you can just record your phone conversations. It's a quick little boop. And then you just, I'll have to pull it back up and look. I can't tell if Siri says this call's being recorded, like if it actually says it.
Legally, you have
like legally, but I've yet to use it. It was actually my Uber driver that told me this when I was in Philly. We were chatting about business, and he's an entrepreneur as well. That Uber's on the free time to make a little extra cash, and we were talking about AI. And I was like, the one thing I just got to figure out is I'm on the phone so much, I got to record this. He's like, oh, your Apple does it. You just have to hit this button, and basically it might almost auto record everything to be like you can probably almost default it. But anyways, long story short, that's like the next step for me is actually.
Yeah.
Especially with client calls when I am just on my phone or doing walk and talks, like to be able to actually record that. And then he said actually it goes into like a cloud and then it can do an AI transcript out of it too.
Amazing.
So same thing,
Amazing. So document, simplify, chunk things out into like topics, and just like start simpler and then get more complex. If you hit everything, if you hit everyone with the most complex stuff from the get-go, it's going to go so slow. You're not going to get what you want. And again, we said at the top of the episode, it feels counterintuitive.
Yeah, it does.
But just like start slower, start a little more broad, and then narrow in as you go.
Correct. So we hope after taking all this information, you're going to put that sample order into fast track mode by actually doing the opposite, slowing down a bit.
Yeah. 25 years later, I use probably less words now than I did then.
For sure. And that's a great thing. Great thing for everybody.
Especially with this cold. I can't be talking all that much. Gosh, I hope I kick it someday soon.
Well, mine lingered for like a month. So yeah.
Summer colds are the worst.
They're the worst.
But thank you all for your listening today. Please, if you have questions about this, because I know that some of this it's geared toward early founders, of course, but also it's fairly complex. It's stuff we've learned over 20, 25 years of experience each. So reach out, ask a comment on Spotify or on YouTube, and we'll be sure to respond. Or you can always email us if you need anything as well.
Yeah. And we're also always looking for new podcast episodes. So if there's been something that we've lightly touched on that you would love to drill deeper in, if there's an expert that you would love to hear from, we actually are going to have a few experts coming on in future episodes, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
So if there are specific things, shoot us a DM on Instagram, any of the channels, but send us an email at hello@thesourcinggals.com. We'd love to hear from you, what you're building. And until next time, we'll see you back here on The Sourcing Gals.